And I'm down here on High Street, just beside the historic Albert Clock, and this is St George's Church. Now the bump on the board outside said that this church was built 1816, but there was a congregation on this church site way before that. There are records of a chapel at Belfast Parish for Sandy Ford at the mouth of the Farset, going back almost 1,000 years. So we're going back to the 1300s, but this is all the information on it. Now it says here, Oliver Cromwell stationed his troops here during the Commonwealth and used lead from the roof of the church to make musket shot. It was not nice of him. William III, King Billy, attended a service at the church on the 15th of June 1690 while on his way to the Battle of the Bowden. The oak chair on which he sat is still in use. Isn't that interesting? The architect was John Bowden, and it was opened in 1816. Earliest mention of this church on this spot was in 1306. By 16, and that was in the papal taxation rule. And like most old churches, this church here is just full of history, and it's Belfast history. Now there's what I call a stained glass window. Wowee. And Billy, the gentleman there, was telling me that these candlesticks, candle holders, were the bedposts of the Countess of Mazarine. And then over here is something quite fascinating. It's Lieutenant General Right Honourable Sir Henry Pottinger. Now this is the guy that Pottinger's entry is named after. And he was in the Far East, and he was in Hong Kong and all the rest of it. And this is his coat of arms, and you can see that it's very well travelled, so to speak. I mean, you've got an Indian sepoy on the right hand side there, and you've got a Chinese gentleman on the left hand side. This candlestick stand actually was given as a gift from St Mary's Catholic Church. So there are close connections, ecumenical connections with this church here. This window here was given as a gift from the Bird family on the event of the death of this guy here, Robert Hugh Stanley Bird, and he founded the Belfast Telegraph. These are icons.
There's another leaflet.
And this is the view that the preacher gets, with the choir in behind. And this church has been very innovatory. It was the first church first Anglican church to hold a harvest Thanksgiving service. It was the first church to hold musical recitals and dramas. It was the first church to hold early morning Holy Communions, and it was also the first church that had a robed choir. Now you may or may not hold with all of those kinds of things and some of the things that happen within this church, but interesting to know. This would be regarded in Church of Ireland circles as possibly high church or high Anglican. Now coming up to the altar, and it's all decorated and all the rest of it round. But this is interesting here. This is the actual chair that William of Orange sat in 1690 on his way from Carrickfergus down to the Battle of the Bowden. And here I am, all those years later, about to sit on it. Oh dear, take the weight off your feet, why don't you? William's chair, sitting there. I just love this stained glass window. Fascinating, beautiful. And I haven't even looked at the roof. Oh dear, can't get my head back far enough. Oh, my arm is getting sore. And this church is sitting right under your noses, our noses. Come and see it for yourself, living history. And while you're here, maybe say a few prayers. And maybe read your Bible as well and find out what's going on in it.